We begin our week with bringing human, spiritual, and spirituality elements together in an episode that is integrating fear, love, and don't worry. When you see 4D Collective and 3D talking about, I don't know, the split, like some humongous great shift, I've been ascending since 2007 as a mystic. 5D is the word I use in front of mystic because Christ consciousness, yes. Thankfully for me, I begin life with God, Jesus, Holy Spirit, and because I have a whole 3-year-old heart and my mother taught me what people who are abusing their power look like and how to be polite and then to go collar, yes, those who are fear-mongering and consistently living their own shame from their childhood, I mean, really, there's nothing to say for discerning minds and hearts and equanimous ones too, because that is actually what God is. He's discerning, equanimous, and smart, and love is consistently there. So is fear, though. I mean, really, if you are spiritual, you'll believe in free will. Maybe, excuse me. There's mindfulness practitioners who I've heard say that free will is an illusion, and so is the self. And then we do have sciences, though, that continue to share with us the lack of free will that a person will have. Robert Sapolsky with Determined, really great. I haven't read it yet, but I understand the concept since I'm attachment trauma informed. So when you do know about the brain, and the brain is an embodied brain, and then you continue to learn about it from smart people like Dr. Daniel Siegel, Dr. Daniel Fox, yeah, it's pretty clear. If you don't care to heal that which is pain and suffering from your body, you are going to sound like a Zen master who says, I have laundry. There's no enlightenment. Or I went super only about self-help, Maria. So with that being said, some people will choose love, some will choose fear, and lo and behold, Enlightenment Soul Age Group. We're like, wow, let's continue to have a fun time. Not the Spirituality Soul Age Group, Enlightenment Soul Age Group. So we have a funny bone, and a funny more than just one bone. It's called the whole 3-year-old heart. So let me read to you that which came through. And today we also will talk a little bit about navigating ascension energies in ventral vagal state, some stories. Polyamory to polyfidelity relationships is going to be good for my lovely love community of functional inner child adults. So only empowered men and women come over here, because otherwise it's, ew, what are you? Or you're not poly enough. And that actually is not securely attached to anything. So when you hear teenagers in a room, you know who they are, because they're like competing with who's going to get accepted for what. No, they're not even competing. It's more of, if you don't like me, I'm going to make a big deal about it, versus you don't have to like me. I mean, actively, the globe is big enough for all of us. And so, yes, time isn't money. I mean, yes, it is, but it isn't. Time is life. So we want to spend it with the people who love, actively, consistently choose to participate. And that's why, even with polyamory being open to a bunch of different people, what I've noticed is, ew, polygamy. So what I can tell you about teenagers is they don't know who they are, and that's why they could use Patrick Tiahan or Terry Real to learn to love themselves first. When you do know who you are, you say, okay, here's who I am. I don't change. My teenage boyfriend heard all about it. And as I got to grow up, I expanded to being able to love more than one person, which wasn't destabilizing, because as a mystic, I knew the themes of the time. So since 2007, Twin Flame 1, Twin Flame 2, Twin Flame 3, then Soulmates, yoo-hoo. And what made tragedy happen? Nobody in the Enlightenment Soul Age Group. That's why you have people who are not empowered and people who are empowered, and we're going to leave alone the 3D, 4D, because they love their stories. In fact, 12-karat golden rings and fitting in somebody's heart is apparently one of the biggest dreams of a bunch of women who I'm like, okay, you sound like the wedding bells after fucking, when no, after you fuck, you're trash. Anybody know about the ancient history people? It's like poof. And women and men, they're equally, I don't know any days, but anytime you find closed-minded human beings, I have a good time, because seriously, I mean, one of my closest friends, as I talked to him about polyamory, he said, so I can kiss you? No. I can fuck you? No. It means I love more than one person. No. So yes to being an object that is basically just fucking without any objective except for that, which, by the way, people in college will tell you how awful it is, because apparently they feel more lonely, and when you tell them don't do it, in college, my bachelor's years and my master's years, and I didn't understand, why would you do something that makes you miserable? A man in a fancy suit told me why I don't get a text back from a man after he fucks me. or I fuck him. I mean, really, do we need to continue on? Because I seriously didn't think that there would be that many immature people as I got older. And I know I'm digressing, but I'm not, because really, when I hear the fancy, prancy man and woman in suit, they're not the only ones that I laugh about. I think of Schopenhauer's quote: if you want to reach a large audience, appeal to the masses. Luckily for the IHP community, our masses are the 5D collective, human beings who are discerning, equanimous, and do know what love is all about. And no, it's not fucking and being miserable. And even if somebody did have this whole contempt and disgust towards me, and then shame, which I don't know where it goes, man, I'd feel bad for the man, because I'm a conscious lover, so I wouldn't fuck you just because I'm like lonely. Are you lonesome tonight? No, actively I'm never lonesome, because my brain and my mind and myself have a buttload of shit to do. Fun shit. Like learn, which is why my brain and my mind and my body and myself is like, yeah, I can't be with any limited consciousness people. So you ask each other for permission to go on vacation. Is that correct? Yeah, okay, that's interesting. What? My man's looking at a woman. Well, he's not technically mine, but even if he is mine, I probably will humor myself in one of two ways. Should I go up to the woman and tell her, hey, someone's interested in you? Or maybe I should say to him, hey, want me to be your wing girl today? We can go check out whatever you're checking out right now. And then I'd say, okay, so why was I boring you again? Because we were talking about something. And I need to understand, is this a lack of interest from the intellectual sphere? Or was it just, a moment of I got distracted because... so we can play it very easily by ear, because nobody's afraid of losing. You don't live in my pocket. And so when women say, so you wouldn't be jealous, and then men say, well, you wouldn't be jealous, and then you explain, I would be concerned with the fact that I'm talking and they're looking away from me. So you would have a reaction. No, I would be concerned, again, not reactive. I would be wondering, why am I not intriguing you? So I'd ask a question without assuming. These are discerning, equanimous people. And then that's why secure attachment is considered apparently boring from those who are not securely attached. I find it quite not interesting to be around dramatic human beings. So for me, I have a fun time, because can I fuck you? No. And again, my friend, this one that I make fun of, he is completely a person who has a lot of stuff going on in his life. So as we got to become more friends, and there was this one moment where he's singing a song to me, and this is a song of love, and he's just playing around, because that's how he gets distracted, so I'm playing, he's playing, and I look at him and say, look, don't you, I know what you're doing, we're just having a good time as you distract yourself, but I don't know anything about you, because you're actively closed off. You do know that, right? I mean, you know me, I really don't know you, but I'm okay with it. And he's like, yeah, but I do know him better now. And he has a beautiful girlfriend who I got to meet, and as I was telling her about me being neutral, so you don't have a position. Well, I do, I just don't claim that my position is above anyone else's. I'm able to allow myself to be open-minded. So you do have positions, yes, but I just don't bring a charge into the room. When you meet insecure human beings, again and again and again, why insecure? Because again, Terry Rio, come on in. What's an inner child that is not a functional adult? Adaptive child. And what do? Unbridled self-expression, controlling the conversation, thinking they're right or wrong. Excuse me, you're confusing science spirituality, says some random human being who recognizes my voice. So when smart human beings explain to a human spirituality human being who's bringing it all together, yeah, it's human evolution only happens if your brain is bilaterally, vertically, and overall integrated. Otherwise, we get to meet your 8-year-old, and the 16-year-old thinks they know everything, which is why you don't interrupt them. That way you can get out of the limited consciousness conversation. But like I said, I have fun. So the latest was, all of you polyamory are masochists. Not the healthy self-worth ones. That's hard. You did tell me, though, that you made a decision to follow what your parents told you to do so that you could be happy with the career for money, because this person actually told me how they asked the parents for guidance so that they could make sure to make money, because, we all need it. But again, time and money. Yes, we all need money, but life is precious. So in 24 hours, you better bet that a person who is mindfully aware, spiritual or not, is going to consistently ensure healthy self-worth. Woman, right here, as a teenager, again, I told my teenage boyfriend, you don't own me, I don't own you. I'm not jealous, you're not mine. And when he cheated, I said, you didn't lose trust. We talked about it. And I'm not going to become like those friends of ours who check each other's phones. That's ridiculous. You're not my kid. And really, if I don't trust you at all, I'm leaving you. Like, this is not a questionable anything. So while people think that monoamory and monogamy is actively what commitment and vows are about, no, commitment and vows and anything that is called a promise. I mean, really, it's not even only about romance. I mean, anybody know about betrayers? Oh, yes, I met all the unkind betrayers adolescents. So I don't even need to focus on romance. Let me just focus on people that say we're friends and that don't have each other's back. Because, see, to me, like I told the teenage boyfriend, we ain't ditching our friends because we're an item. Like, the friends are part of family. We have 24 hours. And so this doesn't change if you are pure love. And pure love is pure love because there's an open-hearted 3-year-old. Thanks, Terry Real and Patrick Chan. What happens when you tell a person who isn't a whole 3-year-old about loving themselves? A shaming letdown. And so they first need to go to you guys, and that's guys, gals, or theys, to first learn how to love themselves, reparent their child, become prefrontal. Yeah, okay, so prefrontal cortex is what I'm using, and that's why personal development, self-help, support people. But it's because you take seriously becoming, first of all, your true self, not a pause self, my facade friend. I know all about how fake people work, and that's thanks to him that I don't make it into a big deal when I meet the fearful, because that's every single person. Nope, no Lucifer to be found. No, just a lot of what I'm going to say, charges, trauma, unfortunate business. We can take every single human being, 8 billion and growing, and know that each of them has a story. Their body does. And in fact, Pat Ogden informs us of what that is. So let me go and get my quotes. Pat Ogden and Bezo van der Kolk inform those of us who do care about people and to heal trauma seriously what happens when people don't. So trauma is not a story of something that happened in the past. Trauma is the imprint that all experiences leave on your soul and your body as your sensations. Bezo van der Kolk. Thank you, MD. And then Pat Ogden, PhD, trauma impacts the body so strongly, and the responses that the body has are often not metabolized, so people get stuck in trauma time. They can't move on from it until those responses are metabolized. Trauma is stored in your muscles, bones, and tissues. Peter A. Levine. So these are all sensorial. There's not a story that you can tell yourself because your first 3 years of life are implicit memory, not to mention your unhealthy self-soothing patterns. So when I see 3D, 4D Collective, I know who they are. They're doing great on Pinocchio's Island. In the meantime, the ones who actively want to become their true self and gain bilateral, vertical, overall integration, they will then say this, and I'm at deep personal on self-help, but at least they tended to learn how to, oh look, sensations, images, feelings, thoughts, oh look, I can think, I can feel, I can fly, right? Okay, so metabolizing that which comes up, it's called securely attached, non-traumatized people. Right here, I got feelings. What are you going to do? That you're in love with me? Maybe yes, maybe no. I don't know. That's the part. You're going to tell it to me. And if not, then I won't make hypotheticals or call you evil, Knievel, medieval, because I thought that you were the one, or you were the one, or you were the one. Which is why it's not tragedy. So let's continue to read a little bit. The ascension energies are bountiful, and 4D is at it again with the whole split and the big shift. And I'm like, wow. I mean, I knew at a certain point that they would keep repeating this shit, but my gosh, they're on a roll. There we go. So fear, it doesn't win, but it definitely has a place in the unfolding of life. Self, human evolution, and consciousness. Now, you do choose life, limited consciousness, and self in protection when you choose fear. This is our Earth's 3D, 4D collective, so they will continue to say that's not true, that they have shame, blame, fault, revenge, or pause self, or fake self. They will say, no, this is who I am, and then they'll continue to talk shit about those of us who do talk about God, source, faith, universe, spirituality differently. So we leave it alone. They don't like that spirit and science come together. We, on the other hand, are good with it, and we're not afraid of any losing. No battle. There's no fear of psychological warfare, mental warfare. The only people who are actually, 7 of 14, the charming, from Michael Stone, the forensic criminologist scale, yeah, he calls them evil. I don't call them evil because I have a discerning mind. I just say, wow, everybody ran off of Facebook after a shitty ass fucking, to this moment, that was the most horrible thing I ever watched, as they integrated music and a story. And I'm trying to hear the data, which wasn't even data because I have biased people coming on screen, not to mention one that says at the very end to get out of social media but use virtual reality to experience life. And I'm like, that's hypocrisy on screen. But that's why fake self paused people like my facade friend, they don't even hear what comes out of their mouth. So someone saying lack of imagination for evil doesn't hear imagination has nothing to do with evil unless you're still only using philosophy and religious texts, which some of us aren't. Neuroscience, neurobiology, mental health. Again, like, it's pretty clear the body has trauma. And if you're not healing it and you're not gooey ooey yet, you have 3 options. No, 2. Protection, or you get to go to therapy if you need it and then get into connection, or you didn't lose connection, because I didn't lose faith in myself, humanity, or anyone because I wasn't broken, because I have a twin that I got to repair ruptures with, and a mom who taught me all about equanimity and all about it's okay to be different. And that means even if you're too serious for children and you get disowned, it's okay, because everybody is different. Not better, not worse, different. And then God said, yes, and I made you the way I wanted you to be made, so don't you go being envious or jealous. And that's why I said, well, what about Cain and Abel? Why didn't you give them both something? I don't understand. That's confusing. They didn't have to get that violent, and also that's not nice. They were brothers. I'm not allowed to touch my twin, and she's not allowed to. You can't touch me. I'm going to tell mom. That's how it works when you're raised in a child-centric environment and you know all about it. So yeah, here's what happens when you're not broken. Again, you continue to know faith because, hey, Jesus, what up? The kingdom of God is within you. And what else? Forgive Maria, for they don't know. Yes, Stephen Porges told me that too. Biologically rude people who are facades don't know shit about what they're doing. What else was it? Don't cast a stone. I did learn how not to say you're bad because you do drugs. You're good because you don't. And I did learn that lawyers that did drugs think that it's okay that they are lawyers. And I'm like, I'm not gullible. I don't want you as my lawyer. You're breaking the law. Are you a criminal? And it's not even about criminal. What side of what coin are you on? I don't know, but you know what? I'm just gonna say laws. We have to vote, and system organized. Faith, you can't get rid of it. And those who think that faith means that people need to whip themselves and actively become like I don't know, closed off in some monastery somewhere. It's the medieval times. Please let them go. Let them go. They don't represent that which is faith. They represent books. That's good. We're going to have museums online. We're going to have the capacity to remember what the medieval times look like when we go and hear them talk to each other in panel of conversations, discuss, you name it, because they're all isolating themselves right now. That's what 3D40 is doing. Like with the flat earthers. They said, we're only going to hang out with each other because everybody else is off their rockers. The same thing goes with people who don't think that the moon. What else? I'm mesmerized. The scientists are going to use AI to disprove reality. Spirituality, people are going to use I don't know what to prove spirituality. And every time I think of that word, I'm like, none of you are academics. You're not proving shit to me, at least. The discerning brain who knows. You're just like I am right now. Food for thought. Anyone? So when you do know what profession you want to do, I want to help people when I grow up. I'm doing it, and that's as an online entrepreneur, mentor, content creator, podcast host, having fun time right now. And as I got into more of my clear land, I didn't get lost. I was like, hey God, okay, you know what's happening. Can you please enlighten me? And you're gonna wait, Maria. Wait till you find out. Okay, God, I finally found out today. Yes, today in the past weeks, I've had a lot to think about. So that's why we have a number of episodes coming up. Okay, so I did choose love as an adolescent when I got to say yes to Jesus, God, and Holy Spirit in my confirmation. And that's when I decided I wouldn't be a coward like all those unkind asshole adolescents. To this day, I do not appreciate adolescents at all. And when they're grown-ups, at the very bare minimum, what makes me happy is knowing that they have learned common decorum, I think is the correct word. So at most, they're going to talk behind your back. At worst, they're going to interrupt you in ways that are humorous. And that's about it. Because a smart human being ain't going to be around people who are physically potentially threatening. Meaning that I'm going to notice if I got a person with a specific number of red flags. Because I have a good gut and don't need Gabor Mate. And when you try to help people who do need a Gabor Mate, and they don't listen to you, and that's men and women, watch how Cusco and the squirrel from Cusco land turn into what Cusco and the squirrel do. But watch a human being be a pacha. Why? Well, because again, I don't live the movies. When my friend, the facade one, after 5 years is in the shithole, I knew he has no friends because he's an active, actual asshole. His only friend left him vomiting after his first breakup. And God told me, in my catechism, what I'm promising. So did I do the right thing? Yes, I did. Did I do it because he deserved it? That's really not me to choose. I'm not God. Anybody who wants to use that word deserve, I'm like, what are you doing? You're flawed. I'm flawed. What is that? Deserve? You think you have the right? That's my personal subjective opinion with God, Jesus, Holy Spirit, and faith in making a promise, which I do believe in making promises and keeping them, which is why I still keep mine. Even though, as a person who has clairs, we all know what those people want to say about Reiki practitioners, Akashic record readers, about the tarot readers, and we do have 3D4D who don't help our case, but again, they're there for 3D4D. So, long story short, though, you don't get lost if you chose love, because unkindness is fear incarnate, pure fear. Pure love incarnate, pure fear incarnate. Humanly speaking, though, we have a bunch of rainbows. I'm in the Enlightenment Soul Age group. We got the societal soul age group, the relationship soul age group, the spirituality soul age group. They keep learning about their self with each other. In fact, that's why the Zen master, laundry, oh, they're so boring. Yes, I don't like boring people. It's always Eeyore. The doomsdayers, please go to Patrick Tiahan and get healed. That way you could be fun. There's only one life. I mean, really, 24 hours. Every day you can try being resilient instead of, I went there, yeah. And that's because people don't learn how to use their prefrontal cortex. So, while 3D, 4D, again, big split, big shift, what I can tell you about the 5D collective is we did choose life. Somehow, one way, shape, or form, you got here. You got to be bilaterally, vertically, overall integrated. If you're still tuning in, I know you're here having a good time, because really, a lot of people leave after the first second because I don't know what they're looking for. No, I do know, but they won't find that. So as we move forward to planet Earth 2025 and ahead, yes, the split of the collective is clear. It is nothing new to the mystics and spiritual people of the Enlightenment Soul Age group. And I'm trying to help you understand. You don't have to understand it. I'm just letting you know. Enlightenment Soul Age group are here on planet Earth. We're not a chosen group of anything. It's just some people will make those conscious choices. Again, I started to make mine thanks to having a mind, body, and brain and self that stayed differentiated. My 3 years of age, Mom, you can't spank me. I'm not kidding. I'm giving you the sciences that we can understand. You can't spank me, it's my body. And I'm telling Dr. Daniel Siegel the story in that I say, and I go to make my suitcase so that I can leave. And my twin, on the other hand, hugs my mom and says, Mommy, I will never leave you. And Dr. Daniel Siegel to me says, oh, that's really great for you. You are already a differentiated self. That means that I don't care if my mommy says yes or no. And she actively wanted me to be my own self-agent because she let me be all in my little angry button, which is why only with her and my twin, my angry button comes up consistently if they interject in ways that my 3-year-old said, no! And that is completely me being serious. I still work on that one. She knows, my mother and my twin. And thankfully, they are really forgiving, and so am I. That's why Manny, Diego, and Sid, our herd, is a bunch of people who know, yeah, I'm flawed, I'm crooked, I'm a sinner, what do you want? Are you God? You ain't God, so deserve. Again, no one from any one of us who has faith with the capacity to understand what it means to be humble, because God will try to make sure you know it. I know I learned humility, yes, with knowledge, because I am, quote unquote, a know-it-all, as my teenage friends would say. And God made sure I'd know not to be a know-it-all. It was very funny. Oh, I loved that lesson. It was a 1-year lived one. You lied to me. No, I didn't. At most, I omitted. But really, are you seriously thinking that I'm going to talk to you about every single young man and or adolescent that has ever crossed my path? I mean, do you realize how old I am? Yeah, you know what? No, I didn't even have the opportunity. So when you meet toxic masculinity, patriarchy, whatever you want to call it. It's just an insecure man. Young man, older man, don't matter. And you know what's really funny is that they don't get it from the parents per se. As every single man and woman that I've met, I have the honor of being very much part of family dynamics. And it is fascinating, to say the least, to notice how something can get twisted. But then again, a child growing up in an environment is where it's at, and a person with a pause self. I can only speculate. This is why I'm going to stop. But my point is, I know the family of the person, and there's no comparison to what the father was to what he became. Father, very much a beautiful, respectful man of tradition in a way of respecting household. However, son distorted this somehow. Not really sure how. Just know that it's completely someone that I won't ever meet again, because actively I know the mentality of this person. I'm not even like gonna say I want. No, I don't. I actually don't. And if ever I did, I would expect from this human being an apology. Definitely, because their closed-mindedness is beyond bejesus of me. Unless you live in the medieval times, in which case you think that everybody should wait until they're married to be with somebody, physically speaking. And again, these entire conversations, I never thought that as I got older that I would be with ignorant human beings, but I do realize not everybody gets to go to college. Oh wait, no, it's not college. It's actively exposure somehow to smart brains. Oh wait, the algorithm, it's not that algorithm that controls you, you decide. So we get to spread the word, spread the good news. The kingdom of God is within any body that chooses. Mental health is important, emotional health, physical health. It's called common sense in my personal subjective opinion, but I got a child-centric environment. So when you're an open-hearted child who says, you can't break me, it's because, thank you God, Jesus, Holy Spirit, it's a muscle. You can't break it. Also, I'm a sensitive woman, like completely sensitive. And then I'll say I'm not sensitive, because when I say I'm not sensitive, what it means is you can say, and I'll be like, oh, thank you so much for hanging out with me, bye, because that's what you learn to do as you grow up and notice ego, 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 ego. It's like, what the fuck is wrong? Don't you know differences? I mean, I know all about it. So healthy self-worth, empowered women, men, days, mystics or not, spiritual or not, they don't get broken. On the other hand, what was it? Patrick Jahan, he shares with us something today. We cannot rebuild having faith in people until we talk about how it got broken. You are awesome, Patrick Jahan. He helps childhood trauma survivors who want to heal to go and get healed. And I always say he's a survivor who's healed and healing. And I love the man because he explains exactly how it works. You don't have to forgive anyone. And I say, I respect you, Patrick, because I forgive, because I know I didn't get the hypervigilant life. But I can only imagine awakening to all of that, which will be shame and guilt for having behaved in unkind mannerisms that have nothing to do with Lucifer and have everything to do with my mental, unfortunate, paused, distorted self that held shame and a lot of anger that tried to protect me and or maybe who knows, so much. So when you see people who choose love, they will be speaking about each other with equanimity and discernment, not judgment, and not casting stones, and not righteous, and we are chosen. We're all chosen. And if people say fear, we need fear to expand consciousness. I still judge suffering. Yes, God keeps telling me not to, and I have finally had the capacity to understand it thanks to this amazing enlightened one and more. He talked about, where is it? He talked about the way that pure consciousness expands. And as he's talking about it, he reminded me of that, which is this fear and love energy. And then another enlightened one, as he gets asked about AI, is it going to be negative or positive? And obviously we all have heard about the different people who think negative, positive. And, you know, again, the enlightened ones know it's intelligence. God knows everything. In fact, there's nothing to be afraid of. So again, there's no fear when you're not broken. And also when you have your integrated brain, though, because my human secondary consciousness doesn't create a human dilemma for Maria. No, as an inner growth mindset mentor, content creator, and podcast host, neutrality and duality. When I was in the midst of completing the 3 inner growth mindset courses, the advanced. I said, oh, good, I know how to do it completely. And someone said, well, that's great that you do. And then they made another suggestion, which I was like, no, I don't agree with that. I think that it's very important to be experienced in what you are going to support people through, because if I'm a novice at it, that's not what I want. I don't want a professional that just learned how to do something. I want them to be experienced because I'm spending my money and my time, and I care about the outcome. So I'm not I want a shortcut. I want a trending topic. Yeah, so when people do niches like that, you know who they are. I don't do a niche. I know what I'm here for. You can be yourself, but first you need to own yourself. It's the sense of self. And then then you'll get somewhere and not do, I don't want to do it. You'll do, hey Maria, give me more. Did you know fighting? No. That actively still happens. The cat mouse thing, yes. Emotionally unavailable men and women in days. Do not go to Gabor Mate, do not go to Patrick Tihan, do not go to Terry Real, and they want 12-karat golden rings and to fit in somebody's heart, and basically codependent, low self-esteem people continue to actually justify. No, they make their relationships look like, yes. So from the outside, we will think of wedding bells, and from the inside, that's a whole different story, because we have imagination with a protective mode that has Elsa, which isn't Elsa, it's a Mean Girls and Hangover. Pinocchio have fun on the island, and some have master's degrees, PhDs, and we need one focus enamored with themselves. They are actually essential to our expansion of consciousness, but they're cut off from Purucha Prakriti because they're not embodying pure love. No, they're embodying pure fear, because shame, blame, fault, revenge is in the biochemistry of fear. I don't need to try and make proof for it. I won't. I'm giving you what is called the concept. You have nothing except for, oh, cool, interesting, or not. But in the meantime, personal development, self-help. Do you want to be yourself or not? So, as Patrick Tiahan, faith got wrecked for us growing up. Faith in people close to us. What's tricky about the world, he says, is that it's half true. There are some really rotten people out there. I beg to differ, but that's because, again, I didn't lose faith in people. Do you know what you contain? You contain the possibility for goodness. And this is the difference between a person of faith and spirit and source and mystic versus science. I'm not of science. I'm pseudoscience woo lady. I bring in sciences. I bring in the human elements to then share with you the spiritual and spirituality elements, and then to explore human evolution and consciousness. And it's not a one fixed anything. The first step is, do you have an integrated brain or not? And really, did you learn how to do healthy self-soothing yet? And that means, are you choosing ventral vagal state? And then saying, I don't do it though, Maria. I want to be able and bent. Okay, go modulated embodiment. Have fun. You're going to keep on thinking that emotions are felt from your visceral. I won't be doing much about it. Okay, so again, when people do not heal that which is their own trauma, as Patrick Tian points out, due to our childhood, it's hard to look for and see evidence of the good people out there. He says, look for the helpers, comes to mind from Mr. Rogers. And then he says, due to faith being wrecked, we are protective and vigilant. Say with our partners, and we look for the ways they are untrustworthy or unsafe. He says, we all do that as trauma survivors on some level, especially with romantic partners. And then he says, so we need to remember, talk about, or process who originally wrecked our faith in people when we feel that way in the present. Our perception clears, and if our partner forgot something important for us, does all the disgust, distrust, worry, proof that they are unsafe belong to them? Same for roommates, co-workers, and strangers, he says. When someone tells us to give the benefit of the doubt, we feel anger or shame, or both. I think giving the benefit of the doubt isn't possible until we know why we were so reluctant to give it in the first place. And there's why you want Patrick Tiahan to learn to love yourself first, and then know how to spot your own self fully, inner child adult, functional child adult, so you know what healthy self-worth interactions and conversations are, which is why also Terry Real is important. And here's Howard Schubiner, MD. We help people go back in time, not to relive their experiences, but to change their experiences, to get in touch and give compassion to their younger self. Okay, so I, for example, don't have to change my younger self because she's consistently been evolving and expanding with me. I didn't lose my higher self because I made that promise to Holy Spirit, Jesus, and God, and it wasn't hard for me to discern and be equanimous within my own self as thoughts and emotions and sensations and images came up and all of that which was life from the moment I began walking with my twin. And that's because, again, a mother who's equanimous, teaching differences aren't good or bad. So there's a story for every one of us, and those of us who got to be in the state of connection with love is something that is fun. Those who didn't, it's something that is sad, but if they don't choose to take ownership, they won't be able to understand how to rebuild having faith in people and a romantic partner. And to notice when I get afraid, it's from my childhood. It's okay. Let me be vulnerable like a functional inner child adult with the individual, in this case, that you will have chosen is a safe haven, secure base for you. That is very important. You have to be unconditionally loved with your flaws and imperfections for you to be able to feel welcomed and not afraid to present that which is usually something I don't know, because I'm not afraid to say, hey, here's who I am. Again, teenage boyfriend, I said, I ain't changing. So I have a plan. This is my plan. This is where I'm going. What do you want? And that's why when in the future, I got told I thought you would change. I was like, what? I'm confused. I told you I don't change. Yeah, but I thought, okay, you know what? Never mind. So let me just allow you all to know, family, friends, all of my lovely past relationships, which is where the polyamory when we move into the future episodes. But my point is, when people say, that's weird, I say, really? So what? Love, you take and you give it and take it? What do you do? I love consistently because I didn't just make up that I'm building a bond with you and I don't want to fuck every person in town. No, some of us are one great asexual, but really, again, anytime I'm hearing somebody think about exes and you having to fuck them or want to, I just think, limited brain. I don't know. I mean, I'm pretty sure you can own your brain, mind, self, and notice when something is not compatible. But I don't navigate from the visceral, which is why the people who choose fear, they navigate from the visceral. And so they have this maladaptive patterns of behavior, inner critic, outer critic, fucking, drinking, drugging, and doing a lot more other stuff. And like in college where they're like, I'm alone, I feel more worse. And it's like, okay, you don't have to do it then. No, but I have to. No, you don't. It's called unhealthy self-worth. Human beings who need to reparent themselves. It's called I'm insecure and I'm lonely and I feel ashamed. I don't know about that. But again, it's all healable. And so when I hear men and women and they talking about gender stereotypes, what? Really? That infuriates me. One, because men get made to seem like stupid idiots, and the men who allow themselves to continue just letting this be part of the conversation. But women too, really, again, I've seen women do shit that is completely, like the little cat and mouse game. I won't even go there. I have actively seen at least a handful of women who have come to me directly informing me of their lack of interest for other. And then as I'm turning around and turning back, I'm watching the seduction, which is not seduction. It's more like the squirrel from Cusco land. And this is where the unhealthy self-worth boundary of the anxious, terrier's little scale, and the grandiose, where they will justify their mannerisms if something goes wrong, but then there's also the manipulating desperately who feel the need to cling. So it's not about it being women, it's just that I've seen this. I don't let me look at men because I actually don't surround myself with men that have that level of, I'm gonna pass on that one. Couples can do remarkable things to heal each other as best friends, confidence better than any therapist because they're romantically engaged. Sand, tats can psych D, MFT only if they're healthy, self-worth human beings, not otherwise. Otherwise, they're just playing out their unfinished business, but they're gonna have fun anyways because I mean at the end of the day it is their time, and as Terry Rio points out, unfinished business is what you end up marrying if you don't actually go and get yourself into the capacity to be healthy self-worth. Oh, and people who don't like the truth, meaning the data, it's okay, we're not here for them. Who's we? The smart ones of us. I do know how teenagers responded to my asking about homework on a Friday evening, and then also to when people wanted me to give them the capacity to copy And I'm like, that you're not going to learn it. Or the capacity for people to continue wanting shortcuts when there are none. And then the capacity for people to disengage from getting thoroughly informed on anything and everything when you say you want to help people. And so when I said I want to help people as an 8-year-old, I knew what it meant. And to this day, I know, which is why I got attachment trauma informed. How do I help you if I don't know how people, your body works? This is not actually a question. I have an answer. It's called I learned from those who know how to help people for real. And I integrate it in the spirituality and mysticism and everything that is here. Because otherwise, magicaboo. I'm not the fairy godmother. I'm actually a 5D mystic who does understand what miracles are, but I also understand how to stay grounded in reality. And then I also understand how consciousness plays a very big role in a lot of different people's lives, and there's 8 billion of us and more. So again, it's not about it being only a select few at all. No, I help with self-help and personal development. You be yourself. The others will help wherever it is. So yes, miracles do exist, but and we'll see as we keep moving forward when we have our spiritual retreats and workshops what will unfold, because it's still too soon to say. Meantime, though, like I was trying to get to that split, please do not be concerned. There's nothing to fear. Obviously, if that asteroid hits us or some shit goes down, space weather, that will be sad, and I might croak tomorrow. We don't know, or hopefully I don't croak at all, but, well, I will eventually, but not, like, now. So, nothing new to the mystics and the spiritual people of the Enlightenment Soul Age group. We have the deep knowing of the continuous dance between love and fear as pure consciousness incarnate in minds, brains, bodies, hearts, selves that are aligned in aliveness with wholeness of self and securely attached on traumatized bodies of those of us who have integrated brains and a restorative embodied self-aware, embodiment, self-aware, accountable and regulating life. Okay, so you choose mindfulness, living and loving, and the spirituality. Some of us, we just were born into it. Luckily for me, again, I begin with God, Jesus, Holy Spirit. Spiritual gifts are the same as psychic gifts, clairs, intuitiveness, and scientists also look into it. Call it the hard problem of consciousness. It's not a problem to us, like the condition of our awareness of life and death, not a dilemma. But that's because I'm a self-agent. So anybody who's like, yep, this is my name, Maria, what do you want? And that's because you do have no meaning. And then again, you do for your own herd. That's again why time is not money, it's life. So I will only be meaningful to the one and the ones who want to consistently engage. So we are mutually interested in actually being in each other's lives physically, not to pretend and live in fancy land air and the 4D collective. When you try explaining that to them, watch them not listen. So we expand consciousness and move beyond decentralization of the self without getting lost. Patrick McNamara talks all about decentralization of the self, spiritual and religious experiences. And as a mystic, I remember when I moved out of the 4D bandwidth, yes, my decentralized self knew what was happening, and so did my own brain, because I can sift through sensations, images, feelings, and thoughts. When I got to expand from monoamory to polyamory, and I was already really open to it in the first place, because I'm not jealous and possessive, because I don't own you, but also I'm a securely attached human being who's like, you don't like me, you're going to tell me my face, right? Oh, wait, I'm not going to try and figure it out, but I'll ask you if I try to figure it out, and then by the time I get to 3 or 4 or 5, I'm going to say, okay, I need to make a decision because they're not talking. And I actually today can tell you all about emotionally unavailable men and women, and they're completely uninteresting. So when you have grounded in reality brain, you don't have suffering buttons for people who lack the respect of communication. You just know something's up. It's a problem. The fact that you don't know how to talk is not normal in my opinion, but I have a 3-year-old right here. And I'm a healthy self-worth person. I never had a problem saying things when I was a kid. I still don't as a grown-up. And that's why, real, people should come to you more often so that they can learn how to speak in people's faces versus behind their back. And when I find out that people who have used my lifetime and they talked behind my back, I'm keeping it general on purpose, it pisses the fuck off of me, because I could have very easily said, this is not going to go anywhere at all. Not even close, because I don't change. I know what I want in life. So again, when you know who you are, use your name. It's because you don't lose your sense of self. That's what a differentiated self is. It's not a gift. It's not anything wow. It's called the higher self. And so securely attached individuals will know of this experience. The ones who gain this secure attachment, they'll be having a good time as much as we do. Although I can't speak for them, because again, I'm not a broken inner child. I have inner child who's only God tells me if I did something wrong, and it will be when I die, not while I'm living. And those in cloaks have betrayed what I got taught in catechism, because I don't make promises that I don't keep. I never got taught that I had to be mean to people. So with that being said, I know who the ones are that are, again, not really doing much, but they are keeping a post, meaning a position, for those who choose fear, because their minds won't capacitate the wealth of information and data. Because science and spirituality, as they come together, those of us who enjoy it are purely academics, seekers, thinkers, expanders. We just love it all. Bring it on. That's why I put this one up today. See, because that we're going to talk about this one after, but it's really fun. So we expand consciousness and move beyond, again, decentralization of the self without getting lost, thanks to owning our sense of self with differentiation of the self and not losing connection with our higher true self. People will choose, as they have in the past, to live in one or two ways, or in one of two ways, in a state of love or fear. Human evolution and consciousness will continue moving forward and expanding to Earth's next best sweet spot, which will add pages to our history books and more stories to support our lovely humanity into the future, with science and spirituality coming together to talk and educate on our infinite higher human consciousness, potential, and evolution. There is no fear of a battle where someone loses. Life is going to continue as it always has, unless, again, that asteroid hits us. Consciousness continues as it always has, and we continue, in fact, to experience the different frequencies. So consciousness separated itself so that it could experience itself. And it begins and ends, and we don't know. Maybe it'll continue forever, maybe it won't. Who wants to live forever? I know I do, but I will consistently not remember. Well, no, I do remember my past lives. And I know my future, one of them. I don't know all of them, but I know the future one of when I leave Earth, and who's it with, and who this person is. And they know who they are too. And I also ask other questions to those that are lovely. Again, the Akashic field. So source, universe, intelligence. We all can download, but some people get lost in the stories. I don't. It's the energetic imprint. It's really amazing. So there is no, again, fear between what is going to happen tomorrow. For the ones of us who are mystics, spiritual, and mindfully living, loving people, are grounded in reality. So we do know sciences and spirituality come together. We know who academics are and how data is brought forth and whatnot. And so discerning minds. We don't do I'm so skeptical that I become closed off to all of it or some of it. You learn how to sift through your own little 3-year-old, 4-year-old, 12, whatever it is. And you say, okay, we're learning from people. We don't need to be in our pissy pants. Let's just keep on looking into things because we are curious. Otherwise, we don't have to. Let me count the ways that I love thee. And knowing that together, the dance between love and fear embodied, we bring to life that which is deemed impossible to be experienced by a mortal being. The experience of love and life, pure consciousness incarnate, in its utmost unlimited and infinite expression and potential. The 5D collective are mystics, spiritual, and mindfully living and loving people who are grounded in reality and understand what human evolution is all about. Each person in their own way. Again, I do the personal development, self-help, being yourself, spiritual growth for the 5D collective of spiritual growth people, because otherwise they like hearing about how they lose people and how there's crabs in a bucket that are going to pull them down. Because they continue being mean girls and teenagers who don't know how their own sense of self is waiting for them to come and say, show yourself, I'm dying to meet. Basically, they don't take ownership of their inner child to say, yep, I'm self-empowered, I'm a woman, man, they, and I'm going to go hang out with other people and not be, you're not pilly enough, you're not Mona enough, ew, you did this, ew, you did that. I really didn't think I'd hear grown-ups become this. But those are the relationships, soul age group, and societal as well. So I know who they are. Let's not talk about the baby soul age groups. That's why we have the medieval time folk, because that's exactly where, and yeah, that's why we have toxic still men, women, theys. Pinocchio have fun on the island. They will isolate, as they do not enjoy those of us who have welcomed sciences and spirituality coming together. Like, seriously, they will not want to hang out with us. No, they'll be too busy with their stories. Schopenhauer, what was it? The audience, yes. So if you want to reach a large audience, you appeal to the masses. Our mass is inspiring human potential. Theirs is going to be, I'm going to leave that one alone. Okay, then. So we tap into our infinite higher human consciousness potential. Yes, we do. We bring to life that which is deemed impossible to be experienced by a mortal being, the experience of love and life. So again, pure consciousness incarnate, which means you are a securely attached, non-traumatized, 0, 1, 3, all your child parts asleep with your higher self and making it humanly accessible, restorative, embodied, self-aware, accountable, regulating life. That's where your body and brain is headed in the first place. And if you need help, there's good therapists. So you get to live this love in life in its utmost, unlimited, and infinite expression and potential. And again, time is not money. Time is life. So tick tock, but not like a hook with the crocodile. It's go to therapy. If any of you are not yet whole, therapy is no longer stigmatized. The only reason people don't go is because that's it. They leave sooner than later. They don't continue. Might take 20 years. We don't know. And when do personal development is at least they did what they could do and then they made a choice. The 5D Collective, we are mystic, spiritual, and mindfully living and loving people who are grounded in reality, and we understand what human evolution is all about, how expansion of consciousness takes place, and how sciences and spirituality come together to make this knowledge accessible to the human mind. The mind is very important. I can conceive all that I share with you all. The cognitive dissonance people cannot. The non-bilaterally integrated person with structural dissociation cannot. They could if they learned to sift through their sensations, images, feelings, and thoughts, not with laundry, Zen master, and not with your brain's going to fall out of your asshole. No, it's not. Your brain's falling out of your asshole, and actually it's not. It's just cut off from pure consciousness, pure energy. Purusha, Prakriti. You don't know how to be yourself because you don't know how to use two sides of your brain. Or Robert Sapolsky determined. I haven't read it yet. He says you have no free will. So once I read it, I'll find out. All I know is that those who do tend to their child and go to Patrick Tihan and Terry Real, they end up becoming at the very bare minimum functional adults, which means they have integrity. They have humility. They know how to bring forth equanimity, discernment, because they've chosen to use their ventral vagal state. They've chosen honor in the self that is theirs and to say, yes, I'm crooked, but with self-acceptance. And that's with humility. So you're crooked, I'm crooked. What do you want? You think you're God? Keep on talking to a person who didn't ever not hear what God said when he said, follow my son. He is the one who bridged the communication. And when you learn from smart people, evolutionary psychologists talk about shame and its posture and what it means for our ancestors. So it's only those who still live in ancestors' times, the ones who will have silverbacks. I'm not going to be around those ones. Those are going to be not interesting to those of us at all. In fact, again, they definitely will not want to be around us. So we don't have fear, and there's no fear of anyone losing. Not humanity, not spirituality, not, again, the future is one of the new pages of our history books. You cannot lose faith, spirit source, universal love, intelligence, consciousness, or dark matter and dark energy. You choose how to live life, learn, and to be a member of society. You can live a life of love or fear. You can become your true self with healthy self-worth as a function of child adult in restorative embodiment, or continue as a pause self with shame and an adaptive child part in modulated and dysregulated embodiment. The 5D Collective chooses love and to be ourselves, with no mask or shame of being our differentiated self. We are our own self-agents and lead with our higher self as securely attached, again, non-traumatized, mystic, spiritual, and mindful people. I will repeat this so people can continue following along and understand what it means and to then take note. Do you know how to metabolize? Meaning, oh, look, I have emotions. I'm going to go have a good conversation. Or do you want to be, I want to be pissy all the time? You want to be pissy, that's fine. You choose the biochemistry of fear because you're going to use your amygdala. Frontal lobes are going to be flopped down. You're going to have a temporal junction like the Zen master does. But those of us who instead choose the functional child adult life, we are restorative, embodied, self-aware, accountable, and regulating people who use mindfulness, mind sight, skills, practices, and the inner growth mindset to maintain and create resiliency in healthy self-regulation anchored in a ventral energy. So it's gooey, ooey, ooey. And we will be in the presence prefrontal with discernment and equanimity. They come forth for us because we take mental, emotional, physical health, and mastery seriously. So we know there's no way for you to have no emotions. No. You're either emotionally mature and mentally and physically, therefore, equanimous and discerning as love. And that is exactly what God was taught to me. In my catechism, I got taught of an equanimous, discerning God with love, not of some God that is a monster that is basically used by those people who got monster parents because they got shamed and they are completely afraid of being tested again and again and again. They will continue to, I need to perform, and it's a sad story for me. The fact that they use psychological warfare, spiritual warfare, they use words that are of superheroes and supervillains because the adaptive child is a child's version of what a grown-up shoulda, coulda, woulda done with exiles, protectors, and all of that 0-8-year-old. It makes complete sense when you look at how they behave, like my facade friend. Fake people. They're all fake. They're also small energy, and they also keep on doing things that are like adolescents did. I'm happy to see grown-ups that are grown-ups for real, and that's another story, again, we'll talk about later. So we metabolize thoughts, emotions, and sensations with our prefrontal cortex in ease thanks to pursuing personal development, self-help, and spiritual growth with mindfulness and mindset skills and practices alongside an inner growth mindset and lifestyle that further allows integration of the brain, owning our sense of self, and living and loving mindfully and spiritually with mind, body, heart in ventral vagal state. Trying to make sure all of those of you who are new understand what we're all about. So I wrote a bunch, and we might have it posted in our community. I'll think about it. But the kingdom of God is within you, sharing Jesus' words. The seed of enlightenment is there in every being. Sadhguru's words. The soul is the same in all living creatures, although the body of each is different. Hippocrates' words, or Hippocrates, however it's pronounced. And then I get to share with you what integrity means. What other people say about you doesn't matter, but you should not be ashamed of what you have done. So be you, be mindful and flawed with integrity, and do remember that Jesus taught us to forgive and to turn the other cheek and to not cast a stone, and that none of us are God. And any human being who continues to not remember that has betrayed and does not hear themselves, and consistently, if you'll notice, they have cognitive dissonance, structural dissociation, because they're hypocrites. The minute you tell me that you point at a person who is a yoga spiritual leader and say people need something to believe in and you represent God, what do you think you are? Believing, faith is something that to me is not a belief because you feel it, but at the very bare minimum, okay, but science is not something I believe in. No, science is where I have different subject matter experts I learn from. I don't use the word believe the way others seem to want to keep using it, because groundedness in reality, anything I do believe is falsifiable. But again, when I think in academic terms, academia has a way quantitative, qualitative data is brought forth. Anyone doing personal research is not going to be considered a priority to me. I'm going to consider priority the philosophers, the academics, because they have a way they do things, and they have been. And then I'm going to look at those who differ from it and are bringing in new things. But I won't be canceling any of it out. It all gets put into the same anima mundi. It's all there. So smart human beings, stable, mature, adaptive, rational, teachable, are the 5D collective. Some people want it to happen, some wish it would happen, and others make it happen. Thank you, Michael Jordan. So for healthy adult life and relationships, one-to-one mentorship, email me. If you are curious to sign up for our future masterclass and the spiritual workshops and retreats, email me. And to use mindset, mindfulness, and mindsight to grow confidence, handle change with good stress, and have inner stillness, raise your frequency, and ground yourself thanks to anchoring in ventral. Subscribe to the paid subscription-based model content on Spotify, or go to Fanbase. We will wait for YouTube to make tiers available. And so by becoming a paid subscriber at a certain point, I will start rolling out with practical inner growth mindset, mindfulness, and mindsight video exercises that you can use to grow this lovely thing called confidence. It's because you have a whole self please let that be clear. Otherwise, you first go to therapy, because that's where you're going to learn to love yourself. And then you're truly confident. Until that moment, you can't speak who you are in the face of somebody you love. Yeah, that ain't going to be confidence. That's going to be another fake-o. So handling change with good stress, it's really fun. And when people say, you want me to have one emotion? No, not really, but you can keep on doing what you want. I'm not going to make you learn how to be, your whole self if you don't want it. So people who do know about being non-traumatized, Pat Ogden, a non-traumatized person with a secure attachment has the capacity to regulate independently of relationships. Daniel J. Siegel, mindfulness can help integrate the mind, body, and relationships, which can lead to well-being. As our lovely Richard Schwartz, PhD, shares with us, when we get good parenting, we don't have a lot of attachment wounds from the past, from our parents, and so we don't have a lot of protectors or exiles, and you have more access to self in general. Secure attachment is when you are more self-led. And as our lovely Stephen Porges points out, yoga is a portfolio of ventral vagal nervous system toning exercises, and Russell Coles, PhD, being terrified that a rupture means the end of a relationship sets you up from the very beginning to have a relationship that isn't genuine, that isn't real, that doesn't involve being able to just be yourself. And that's why the past self people need to go to Patrick Chan, so they don't have to live something that isn't necessary in the year 2025. We will be back with more content later on, to again bringing together human, spiritual, and spirituality elements to explore human evolution and consciousness. We also get 5D mystic stories, enlightenment, functional, inner child adult stories, and those are the new ones for relationships, for healing trauma together and bringing forth your humanity, my humanity, and all of that which every person can hold. Thank you again, Jesus, for letting us know, and God and Holy Spirit. And then moving into spirituality and mysticism with Sadhguru and my own life and all of that and more, and us getting to have the honor to bring it to others. And again, this shift and the split that you're seeing, it's been going on for a while, but the split is pretty clear, because now we finally have the two ends of the coin stabilizing with the new information that can allow you to choose love, healthy self-worth, empowered person, fear, lack of healthy self-worth, not empowered person, who will though think that they are empowered and that they have a right to shame, blame, fault, revenge, and continue Jago's family. So toxic behaviors, and that's pretty much it. And the laws that we will go and look forward to continuing to do what we can to create a system that will continue evolving. Our history books, who knows what they'll say about us? I'm pretty sure they'll say the same things in different ways than Shakespeare and yesterday. So again, thanks for stopping by. Have a lovely day.